Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. Please take a moment to subscribe our channel. First post by you/Funkty0 NAL Psych 0 Path. Excuse me sir, your son just shot me. So this took place back in 2008 ISH. In Iowa, quite a few state parks have shooting ranges that are completely free and just have posted rules. As a rule, everyone is responsible for making sure the range is safe and clean. I had just bought a new pew and wanted to sight it into my shooting style. I'm a left-handed shooter but right-eye dominant. When I get to the range, there's the usual people there, including the brass thief, but he's a story for another time. The far left lane is open. I move my stuff to the table and start setting up my sled and other equipment. To the right of my lane is a father and son shooting a tiny bolt action .22. The gun was one of those that take a key to function every time. Now the kid was maybe 10 years old and seemed to know how to use the rifle because he was loading .22 shorts, using the key to reload and shooting again. He was being safe and keeping it pointed down range. His dad is giving pointers and overall being a good mentor. I load and shoot. Wait for range to clear and reset targets. His dad walks away, leaves the kid to shoot. I pick up my rifle and start to wipe the barrel and was planning on waiting for the barrel to cool, shoot, wait 0 and so on, but no. I hear the kid fumbling with the keys and getting frustrated. Pop, I just got punched in the leg. It hurt, but in a weird way. The kid squeaks a sorry and I take inventory. I feel my leg and find the hole. It wasn't even bleeding yet, but still my brain was going, holy F, I just got shot. This was prior to going overseas and will end up being only the first time I was shot. I look for the dad and he's fiddling with fishing equipment in the back of his truck. I say, excuse me sir. He interrupted me saying, his son is allowed to shoot and they aren't moving. I say, yes sir, but the issue is he just shot me. He laughs and says no he didn't. I take my hand off my leg and show him, as by now it has started to bleed but not spray. That's good at least. He starts to argue that I must have shot myself because his son has been shooting since he could walk. I say accidents happen, I'm not upset, I just need insurance information for the ranger and paramedics as I need to call 911. He offers me $100 to just leave and say it was an accident. I say no and call 911. Other people on the range both started to gather and go find a park ranger. The dad keeps arguing, saying his son couldn't have shot me because he doesn't know how to load the gun, and if he did it was because I was downrange. The kid pipes in and says, yeah I do dad, you showed me and I did shoot him, it was an accident. At this point the dad starts to panic and starts tossing everything into the truck in a scramble to get away. Before he can, another shooter grabs the keys off the kid's table, as they were also the truck keys. The guy gets more and more upset as I sit there with my pinky stuffed in a brand new hole. Eventually the ranger gets there and everyone starts yelling their side of what happened. The ranger calms everyone down as the police arrive and start sorting through everything. I explain the kid shot me by accident. The dad was freaking out and tried to leave, but another person has his keys. They summon an ambulance and they look me over. The officers handcuffed the dad and I was like, wait, he didn't do any harm, I'm not pressing charges. The officers explained that he was a felon and thus not allowed to be around guns anyway. I'm taken away and they remove the bullet, no major harm done, but it did chip bone. Second post by you/MRS Garfield Face. Spoiled brat puts himself in danger, gets injured, parents threaten to sue. This happened 4 to 5 years before, when I was about 13-14, so I might not remember everything word by word. Also I am from phone and a non-native speaker, so excuse my mistakes. Backstory, I am from a relatively poor Middle European. My family wasn't well off financially, but we had an average lifestyle. My parents saved up an insane amount of money, compared to the standards here, so they could send me to a fancy international camp so I could practice English. I struggled a lot with speaking, and see that kind of rich environment too. Important to note, this camp was insanely fancy. Most kids there were filthy rich, with their parents owning banks and hotels and things like that, so I pretty much didn't belong there, which most people realized. On to the story. The camp itself was in another country, and to spare expenses I went there by bus. It was a rather long ride, 12 hours. On the bus there were a few other kids. The one that sticked out was EK, entitled Kid. This story is about him. He was a spoiled little brat, as you can imagine. He was about 13 too. He immediately realized that I wasn't nearly as rich as any of them and started bullying me. Telling everyone how poor and filthy I was, bragging about his financial background to my face, showing off his expensive belongings and stuff like that. After a while of me not responding, he got bored and started walking around the bus making misogynistic and sexist comment about me towards the other kids. I was the only girl on the bus, so that was obviously targeted at me. Basically, he kept being a little shit. Fortunately, when I got to the camp, we both went on our merry way, and the next time I heard from his was when karma struck. This was mostly a sport-themed camp and you could apply to specific activities, one of which was wall climbing. I think you see where this is going. EK participated in that activity, and when he got on top of the wall, he decided he didn't need his harness anymore, unbuckled himself despite the counselors telling him to stop. There was noon up there, unfortunately, because it was a small wall. Counselors were about to go up after repeatedly asking him to wear his harness and come down. This is where all the shit went down. It took maximum a minute before he lost balance and fell a good 3 meters. Luckily, he only broke one of his ankles, but was okay. The entitled parents flew in from God knows where, from some expensive vacation, to kick the owner's ass and threaten him. The parents wanted to sue the camp, but because of consent forms, witnesses, and I am not exactly sure what other legal background, they had no ground on that. After not being able to sue, they demanded the money to be refunded, as their child couldn't participate in most of the activities as planned. The owner of the camp was a generally nice dude, but he was having none of the bullshit. With a giant grin on his face, the owner told them that there are plenty of activities that he can still participate in and they can cater to his needs, as the camp can even handle disabled kids. The entitled parents continued yelling and threatening, but there was nothing they could do, so they left the entitled brat in the camp as they already paid for it, and didn't want to take care of a hurt child, and flew back to their expensive holiday. I felt kinda sorry for the kid in the end, as his parents left him behind to go back on their vacation, but at least he stopped being an ass to others for the rest of the camp. I hope you enjoyed this story. Third post by you/threat in many states. Entitled Mom at Restaurant. I never expected this to happen. So basically, I was at a restaurant, I sat down and placed my order. 5 minutes later, some woman and her 2 children walk in. The mom says, "My friend is here." I thought nothing of it until the woman walked up to me and said, "Hey, may I sit here? My son and daughter are hungry." I replied with, "Sorry, I already placed an order and all the seats are taken. You have to wait for a seat to open like everyone else." She looks at me and says, "I don't care, you have to give me your seat because my children are really hungry." I replied with, "Ma'am, if you are really hungry, go to a different restaurant." She raises her voice a little, just enough for a small amount of attention to be drawn to the situation. She says, "Don't give me attitude, just give me your table and leave." I was bothered and the son said, "Mom, let's go to another restaurant." The mother says, "No sweetie, we aren't leaving." She grabs my arm and throws me off the chair. Nearly everyone in the restaurant has their attention towards us. The staff hadn't seen, which confused me. I got up off the ground and she sat down. I was furious and I told her, "Ma'am, get out of my seat." She got red in the face and screamed at me. No, I was her first. I think she hadn't noticed everyone clearly saw her throw me off. She stood back up and proceeded to get in my personal space. I wear mask and I am really afraid of COVID. She doesn't wear mask. She just started yelling at me so fast, all I got out of it was, "You are selfish, you don't care for children, and, I bet you have a disease." I lightly shove her away. Big mistake. She runs backwards into a random table and fake falls. At this point the staff are walking towards us. I can hear whispering. There is 2 workers, W1, W2. W1 said, "What is going on?" The parent gets up and screams, "He threw me, a random man, let's call him Mike," stands up and says, "She's lying." She screams, "You have nothing to do with this." Mike says, "Well, I recorded everything." After Mike shows them the video, W2 kicks her out and everything ended out fine. Comments. By Idonthave Tutelu. So I have no clue if this story is real or not, but I have seen someone get physical with someone in a restaurant and only have to leave because of it. I've also seen someone get pushed out of their seat in order for the other person to sit down, albeit it was on a bus and she did get thrown off, so it sounds plausible and it is assaulted, but a lot of people don't usually call cops over stuff like this. They just don't care to, or it will take up more time in their day than they want. I know this because my friends don't usually want to call cops even if they are assaulted. Usually they don't bother with it's only a little bit, like a push or a shove or a yank. Fourth post by you/Frank Redder. Woman gets what she asked for. I know a woman who says that she is allergic to garlic. For years, whenever her grown children wanted to take them out to dinner, she would tell the waitstaff that she was allergic to garlic. She actually wasn't. Up until recently, that would mean that they would just not use garlic in the preparation of her meal. Nowadays, people take food allergies much more seriously. A few years back, her children came into town and wanted to take them out to dinner. The kids took them out to a famous barbecue restaurant. My aunt said her usual, "I'm allergic to garlic." When she told them about her allergy, they went and scoured the grill, utensils, and everything for 15 minutes to ensure her safety. The kids knew that she wasn't allergic, but had no idea that the restaurant would go to such lengths. From the restaurant's point of view, it was the only way to be safe and ensure against a lawsuit. The family were chatting over drinks and wondering what the delay was. They were legitimately horrified when they found out the measures taken to prepare their mother's food. After the meal, they apologized profusely, and the son that was footing the bill generously tipped the wait staff for their troubles. A couple months later, the family got together again and went to the same restaurant. When their mother used her famous line, the restaurant refused them service, stating that it would take too long to sterilize everything again. When her children stated that it was merely an aversion to garlic and not an allergy, the restaurant staff held firm and said that they could not take that chance based on a counterclaim. Everyone in the family was mad at her for her statement. They had to leave the restaurant and find some place else to eat. Before entering the next restaurant, they informed her that they would no longer be taking her out if she made that claim again. So far, she hasn't.
Fifth post by you/definitely delusional. FMIL has exhibited Karen tendencies, and I feel like I'm being gaslit. Am I overreacting? Long-time lurker, first-time poster. I considered writing on several other subreddits, but chose here because you all seem to get the nuances of the mother/son dynamic and how it can get weird real fast. FH, 28M, and I, 26F, have been together 2.5 years, just engaged. Because half of our relationship happened over the pandemic, we haven't spent as much time with each other's families as we would have liked. That being said, FH comes from a very tight-knit family, all of whom claim to enthusiastically support our relationship until recently. It's also important to note that FH is biracial, white and Asian, FMIL is white, and I am black. FH has occasionally commented to me that FMIL considers herself a good liberal who worked for civil rights her whole life, married an Asian man, and would have voted for Obama a third time. That last part he meant as a joke/criticism based on the movie Get Out, where the racism is wrapped up in the niceties of liberalism. For example, he and his siblings have had to check her on several occasions for claiming to speak her husband's native tongue better than them, and for claiming to be practically Asian, whatever that means. All of this comes to a head when I get appendicitis and have to have immediate surgery. Because FH has been living at home during the pandemic, he offers to bring me to his home for the week, where I could work remotely while I recovered and receive the care I needed from the whole family. At this point, I couldn't cook for myself or do anything that required heavy lifting, plus I was a mess from the antibiotics and nausea, so his offer was really appreciated. After all, these were my future in-laws. That ended up being the biggest mistake. FMIL, who also worked remotely, was kind and supportive all week. However, I never felt 100% relaxed, since I didn't want to inconvenience anyone without FH around, so I'd often wait till he returned home to ask for bigger asks, like laundry. I also felt a weird edge to FMIL, like she was almost overextending herself to show me just how chill she was with the entire setup. Turns out I was right. One night FMIL had a lot to drink. I am sober because I just had my appendix removed. After a while, she comes up to me and starts badgering me about why I've been ungrateful for her hospitality. I start panicking and repeat that I couldn't be more grateful, and that I had appreciated all of her help the past week. She keeps escalating, asks if I think I'm better than her, etc. FH hears the yelling from the next room over and comes in. At this point I'm close to tears. I try to begin explaining what I think is happening, but before I know it FMIL starts weeping. She collapses into FH's arms and claims I came for her in an aggressive manner. He's obviously in shock and doesn't immediately comfort either of us. The night ends with her going to her room, avoiding any further confrontation. I tell FH that I'm too exhausted to rehash and commit to filling him in the next day. The next day, I figure FMIL will apologize, or at least try to sweep it under the rug. Nope, she doubled down. Despite her being intoxicated, and me being literally in her care, she told FH that I scared her with my aggressive demeanor. I am barely 5 feet 0 inches and 110 pounds. But at several times in my life, white women have weaponized their tears to paint me as an aggressor in situations where I had little to no power. It's a sensitive issue, and one that I thought FH understood. He's currently still characterizing the incident as that fight between you and Mom, which is grossly inaccurate and obscures the blame/power imbalance at play. He thinks we both just need to apologize to each other. I'm stressed and know I should pursue a resolution, but I don't trust FMIL at all, and FH's lack of response is really bothering me. Comments. First by Homno1313. As a white woman, I say this: do not apologize. Stay away from her. Your FH is possibly still in the fog about how his mom operates. After all, it is what he has known his whole life. Get out of their house and into your own now. Then you and FH need some time with a counselor, so he can learn why this is triggering for you. From my point of view, it seems even without what has happened to you in the past, the racism of white women using their tears while you are in a weaker position, this isn't just a case of moms crying, it is a case of mom manipulating the crying, indeed the whole situation. Pile the racist crap on top, and you have AS #plus mountain. I honestly do not know if it is time to throw the whole man out. Only you can make that choice. If he can understand the pain this gives you, and learn to protect you first, as all spouses should do towards their extended families, then he might be worth saving. I know I try not to be racist, but I also know some things I might think are okay are not. I will not learn differently if I am not shown/told. Hopefully, he can learn as well, if he wants to preserve the love you two have for one another. Good luck, OP, sending healing thoughts your way. Second by Galem323. I am just hoping to put out what I think should happen, based on your FMIL's covert racism, and your fiancé's lack of backing you. Put any wedding plans on hold and couples therapy. You don't want to be locked into a semi-relationship where you are always questioned and doubted, and that is where he is. Stupid needs to lay off the booze. I can't imagine any scenario where a son IL or DIL came to my home for healing after a major operation and gave them shit for not showing proper gratitude. That's just nuts. Only an asshole thinks like that. I would do some deep thinking if I were you. I would make FDH explain exactly WTF he is thinking, or if he is thinking. This isn't a fight between you and mommy. It's her aggressively coming after you, while you are weak, and using your race to undermine and attack you. If FDH can't see this and shut it down, you have a big problem. Third by Golden Opal 42. Let me begin that as a white person I realize it's messed up for me to dismiss that whole angle. Other than to acknowledge it makes everything more sensitive. But personally I would have gotten aggressive with MIL. You're disabled in a strange house with strangers that you have to kinda treat like family. Minding your own business, and she drunkenly starts shit with you. My lily white ass would have snapped back. And the poor thing would have been all scared and traumatized. Been there. I only bring this up because you are noticeably vague in the OP about what you said right before she completely lost her shit. My point is that whatever her problems are with you and vice versa. It sounds like moving forward you could play nice with each other for the standard holiday visits and whatnot. As long as she understands what she is going to find out if she fucks around. And you let go of insisting you're so understand things he is never going to fully understand. And he lets go of insisting you apologize for standing up for yourself when he wasn't there to protect you. Let him think you should apologize all he wants. I understand it hurts. But in a relationship people are not always going to be on the exact same page. It makes sense he sees his mom getting drunk and making drama through the lens of knowing her as his mother more than your experiences with racism. MIL is scared? More reason for y'all to move up out their house, I say. It's clear you and MIL should not be alone together. If everyone can live with that compromise, good. If not, then you're not compatible. You deserve better than to be bullied by a drunk. Whether she's woke or not. Falf by law_vikinga. Your FH must understand there was no fight between you and his mother, and you refuse to label it as such. However, what did occur was an incident where you were subjected to the consequences, his mother's reasoning and social filter being altered by a great deal of alcohol. You tried your best to defuse the situation, especially as you were blindsided in the middle of recovery from surgery, and were in no shape to squabble with anyone over anything, but unfortunately, his mother was in no condition to rationally process what she was being told. The large amount of alcohol is the only reason you can think that might cause his mother to reveal her unease and resentment towards you. Dump it back into his lap. I'm not going to allow you to tell me I was in a fight with your mother. I was not. What did happen was I was verbally attacked. I was accused of being not only entitled and snobby, but also ungrateful for her hospitality. And the topper on this poop cake? I was accused of chasing after her for an argument. Seriously? You believed that nonsense? Look at the facts. I just had an organ cut out of me. I could barely walk, and you think I'm going to corner her in another room, when I could barely make it into the bathroom to pee on my own? Are you kidding me? Frankly, if anyone has a grievance here, it's me. If anyone is owed an apology, it's me. I will not apologize for something I did not do and tried my best to stop. Those tense moments I spent being forced to endure her accusations were enough for me to make the decision not to be around your mother when alcohol is involved. She has an alcohol problem. I'm not going to submit myself to behavior like that ever again. I'm letting you know right here, right now, I will never again allow myself to be treated the way I was the other night. I refuse to accept one iota of blame for her behavior. I don't care if she is your mother. What happened that night was wrong. I know it. You should know it. If your mother had any self-awareness, SHE would know it and apologize for her behavior.